Frameworks, The Price of Delusion, Chapter 1, Part 2. Present day at an undisclosed location in a secret government lab. An unknown person in a military uniform with brown hair and rimmed glasses slid his badge and then entered a restricted door in a top-secret government lab. At first it looked like a small studio darkroom used for photography, but as soon as one took a panoramic view, it revealed that it was much bigger than that. A gray-haired man who was a programmer was sitting in civilian-styled clothes in front of the computer looking at case files. The computer screen showed a picture of the Kaya Maru No. 5 ship and information about its disappearance. "What is the status?" asked the first man. "We are still trying to find the right leader program," said the programmer. "She's been very resistant to several of the others." "Run the isolation program and then switch to another bait. Let me know when you completed the process," said the first man as he left the room. The programmer then walked over to the virtual reality section, where there were several setups. After that, he walked up to a specific virtual reality bed that was in a booth. It contained a thin young woman with red hair. She was lying on it while wearing a special headset with glasses. To the right of the machine were a series of wires and a four-sided holographic display box. There was also a regular monitor positioned there to give the programmer a visual reading of what was being seen by the eyes of the virtual participant. As the isolation program was initiated, she immediately found herself standing on a virtual representation of the Kaya Maru No. 5 ship. By intentionally disorienting the subject by means of manipulating her brain's beta waves, they altered her sense of time. "I don't know how I got here," the young woman thought as she wandered the deck of the Kaya Maru. She had been made to experience several minutes of this, as if it had been several months. Each time the researchers pressed a button, they would fast forward the actual program, yet the young woman experienced everything flowing in normal time. The isolation program drove her to the edge as months seemed to pass by at an extremely slow pace. She painfully remained in a very lonesome state of perpetual night. She initially speculated that she had been drugged and brought here by the men in black, but now she was not so sure. She began to hallucinate, or so she thought, but it was really the programs manipulating and introducing the different stimulations into her mind while they observed her reactions. The programmers knew they had to get her to believe the imposed virtual scenario before they could effectively begin the layering process. As they made various preposterous creatures to confront her, she began to doubt her very sanity. "This cannot possibly be real," she thought, as she observed a six-winged creature with glowing red eyes form right in front of her. The programmer pressed another button, and the creature then clasped its hands and released a slew of deadly poisonous snakes. Her reaction was one of immediate fright, making it obvious to him that she had a long-seated phobia towards snakes. She tried to run, but she was unfortunately surrounded. A cobra snake lunged at her and bit her torso while she desperately tried to remove it. She immediately began to feel herself going faint. "Could this be real?" she asked herself. Just then, from nowhere, a heavy-set gentleman appeared and came to her aid with a syringe that resulted in a calming effect. She suddenly became aware of her surroundings and found herself in a hospital room. The same heavy-set person, who was a male nurse, asked, "Cindy, do you know why you're here?" No," she responded. "Well, you've been in our psychiatric ward for a couple of months now, and this is the first time that I've seen you lucid. That's very good news. I'll go ahead and inform your doctor," he said, smiling as he walked out. His face seemed so reassuring to her that she didn't want him to leave. The observing programmer was pleased upon seeing this reaction. Now he could initiate the layering process. He quickly notified the op manager to come back in. Cindy pondered over everything that she had experienced, and it made perfect sense to her. It had to have all been in her mind. She was in good hands now. She had been brought safely back to this pleasant reality as opposed to that horrific dream that she had just been having, or so she thought. Cindy then turned on the TV and began to tap her fingers on the tray while she watched. Everything was better now. She felt at peace and was oriented to the hospital's surroundings. She believed that this was her true reality. Little did she know that even this hospital reality was actually the imposed bait program that had been switched on her. They had reached their objective and had finally gotten her to believe. With this accomplished, the gateway to her mind was now fully open and ready for their program embedment.